Welcome to MacroCode. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we are going to proceed with the employees management system. As you can see, we are within our login page. So I'm going to log into our application. So for those who are watching this video series and you are following, please watch some of our previous videos on how we configured authentication in our application. So in today's video, I'm going to have another sub-module whereby we have a list of users that, remember when we log into the system, that means we have some users within our application. So I'm going to go to our database, then within the tables, you'll see we have ASP.NET users. So this is where our users are being stored. So I want us within our dashboard to display the list of users within our application. And as you can see, we have 2 users. So I want us to do that on our today's video. So if you come back to our application, you see we have employees, leave applications, system administration, but I want us to have system. So I want us to add some users here. So if you go to our navigation, so under layout, so I want us to just go to our layout. So that's under shared. So I'm going to minimize this. So under shared, then layout, then scroll to our sidebar. Then you will see we have a system administration. Then within system administration, we can say, so I can actually categorize, I can have my users here. So I'll just say index, then I'll have users. So this users controller doesn't exist, but we are going to create it. So here I'll say system users. So to create our controller, I want us to stop our application. Then let's go to controllers. I want us to create just an empty controller. So we are not going to scaffold. So I'm going to use that controller. So I want just an empty controller. Then I'll call it users. So there we go. So I'm going to call it users controller. Users. So here I'll just say users controller. Then within our users controller, I'm also going to our views. Then I'm going to create a folder called users. So our folder name should be the same as our controller name. So note that. Then here I want to create a razor page. So here that is a razor view, then which is actually empty. Then I'll say add. So the razor view, the razor page here is actually index. So let's go back to our users controller. So on our users controller, I want us to do some aspects. So one thing, I want us to declare some things here. So one is how do we get our users? So we are going to use private. So I'm going to say here private, then read only. Then I'm going to use user manager. So I'm going to use user manager, which is actually ASP.NET, part of ASP.NET identity. Then here we are going to use identity user. Identity. So I don't know which user I don't know if we extended our application that is identity user. Let me just confirm. So we are using identity user. So if we go back to our users, we should actually have here identity user. Then we do under user manager. So I'll just do that. Then I put here underscore user manager. Then I need a constructor here. So I'll just do CTO. So I'll just do CTO, then I'll tap, then I'll have my users constructor. So another thing that I want here is the roles, because we'll be actually creating roles within our application. So here we have the role manager. Then here I'll just do identity role. So I do identity role. Then here I'll do under role manager. Another thing is I want us to also, because we will be checking if the users are logged in or not. So if you want to do that, we can use sign in manager. So I'll sign in manager. Then we will be using identity user. Then these will be under sign in manager. So I'll just do that, then put here underscore. Then all these here, I'm going to have them within our constructor. You see our IntelliSense has actually recommended for us. So I'm going to tap, then it will add for us. So we have the role manager identity role. Then we have a role manager, sign in manager. So the only thing that we don't have is the user manager. So I'm going to have it here. So for the user manager. So to add the user manager, I'll just copy that here. Then I'll have, so I'll just copy all of this line here. Then do that. Then I'll say user manager. So then this should be that way. Then I'm also going to assign. So I'm going to assign here. Then I'll say this is a user manager will be assigned to this. So after doing that, we want now to retrieve some users within our application. So here I'm going to do public async. Then I'll say task action result. So I'll say action result. Then I'll do index. Then within our index here, I want us now to get the list of users. So to get the list of users, I'm going to, so I can define a view model, or I can just load the user identity. So here I'll just maybe load our user's identity without, then we'll be able to see how we can utilize view models going forward. So I'll just say view variable, then I'll say users, then I'll say here await. So there's one thing that we missed. So I want us to do here is to add our application DB context. So I want us to add our application DB context. So we are going to do private read only. Then we'll say application DB context. Then here we'll say underscore context. So if we do that, we'll need also to inject it here. So we'll do here injection. So I'll just do context. Then I'll also have it here. Then I'll do context. Then this, sorry. So I'll just do here context. So this is context. Then we'll have here context. So after that, so here we'll do await. Then underscore context. Then we can do users. So you see these users. Then we can actually do to list. So you can do here to list async. So if we do that and we do that, we should be able to have our users. You see, this will give us all our users. Then on our view, you can actually now return our view with the list of users. So I'll just do here return view, then users. So what I want us to do, remember we've also authorized our application. So I'm going to do here authorize. Then we are good. Then the next thing is on our index here, we need to display a grid of users. So how do we do that? So we need to display the grid of users from the database. So I want us to go and copy some of the grids here. So I'm going to copy, let's just check which one is the best. I'm going to copy the one for leave. Yes, I'm going to copy this. Then if we go to users, I'm going to paste it here. Then on our list of users now, but we are not retrieving the data from the leave application. So here we are retrieving the data from our users model. So here I'm going to replace this so that it is not getting from our records are not coming from leave application, but it's coming from identity. So I'll just do identity user. So identity user. So at the top here, we should actually be using at. So we'll say at using Microsoft.ASP.NETCORE.ID. identity. So if we do that, we should be able to now use identity user. So our list here will be our list of our users. So here we'll say add new user. So that is add new user. Then this will be users list. Then within our users list, as you can see on our table, we have the username, normalized username, email, all these, phone number, and even some of the bare minimum details. So we'll actually be showing you how to add, in case you want to add additional columns here. You see, this is just standard. You have the username, normalized username, email. What if we want to have the first name, middle name, last name, email address, phone number? So some of the things that are not here. So we'll actually go through how to add that. So here I'll just do normalized email. Then I can also do normalized username, and I can have here maybe my ID. So I can say ID. Then I'll just do away with all this, and I can also add my phone number. Then so I'll just have here my phone number. Then I'll display here now my ID. Then I'll have here phone number. Then here, so this should be normalized email, So this is normalized email. Then you have normalized username. Then we have phone number. So I think that is it. Then I'm going to remove the others. Then here I can actually now say on our email, you can edit on our users, you can edit user, you can view user, you can actually, let me remove the others. So we'll be adding roles to a user. So if you want to see that, keep watching, subscribe to our video, and comment down below. So as you can see, we now have our list of users. Then you can say this is a system users. So if we do that and we launch our application, we should be able to see the list of system users. So let me just launch our app. Then we should, when we click users, we should be able to see all this list of users within our database. So we have these users with the email, normalized email, we have username, and we have a phone number. So let's just launch our app and see. So if everything goes well, our app should be able to launch and we should be able to log in. So there we go. So I'll just pass my email address and password. So if I just sign in, I should be able to get to the dashboard. There we go. Then if I go to system administration, you see we have our system users. So if I click system users, you see it has taken us to our users, and we have been able now to get our ID. We have the user ID, the normalized email, the normalized username, and the phone number. So we can actually change the normalized username to be email. So we can say this is email, and we can actually change this to be. So we can change this to be user serial number. Then you can change this to be user email. You can just do that, user email. Then you can do username. Then you can do user phone number. So we can say user phone number. So this should be user phone number. So if we do that, we should be able now to have the changes within our application. Let me just reload our app, then we see. So if I do that, our application refreshes, then we have our user serial number, we have a user email, username, user phone number. So we now have only 2 users. So what if we want to add a new user to our application? So that is within our dashboard. So here we now retrieve all the users. So what happens if we want to create a new user? So I'm going to add another razor view here, which is an empty razor view. So I'm going to stop our application, then new, then view, then here I'll just say here create. So this is for creating the user. So then I'm going to copy some few details. Let me just borrow from, where do I borrow from? Let's see, designation or even leave. Let me borrow from leave. So I'm going to copy that, then go back to our create user. Then I'm going to paste that. Then here, I'm going to also remember where our model came from. So I'm going to do something. So I'm going to add one of our list. So I'm going to add a view model. So I don't know if we've actually used the view models on our application, or let me just use a model. Then I'll show you how we are going to utilize view models later. So I'm going to call this users model, or we can actually have, let me just create a folder. We call it view models. Let's just use a view model. So I'm going to create another folder here. Then we are going to call it view models. View models. Then I'm going to add a users view model. So I'll say users view model. So if I do that, then on our users, if we want to register a user, what do we need? So I'm going to have, first thing is our string, then we say email, then we do, next thing is we can say first name, first name, then I'm going to do middle name, then I can do last name. So we have our email, then we can do phone number. So I'm going to do here phone number. Then I'm also, so this can be int. Then I'm also going to do password. So for now, we'll be providing a password. What if we need our password to be auto-generated and sent to the user? So we should be able to see that later. So I'm also going to have our, so the password, then you can have maybe the address, but all these details are missing on our tables. So we just want to save the bare minimum that we have on our table, that is username, email, and the phone number. I think that is the only thing that we have. So I'm going now to use this view model on our page under views, then under users. I'm going to have, this is so it is under view models. Then I'm going to use this view model. Then I'll say new user details. Then here I'll now have my, so I'll just do email. So this is our, so this is actually an input. So I'm going to use here an input. So let me just do away with this. Then here we can say email. So this email here, email here, email. Then this is that's okay. Then we can do, the next thing that we need to have is the phone number. So I'm only capturing what we need to provide in our database. Then we can do password. So I'll just do password. Then what other thing are we capturing? It's just username and email. I think also the username. So on our model, we should have a username. So I'm going to add it here. So I'll just add username. Then here I'll say username. Then if we go to our create view, I'm going to have now here another one called, so I'm going to have another one called username. So we can actually have username, then password. Username. Here is also username. Then here we have username. So after doing that, I'm going to remove all these other details because we don't need them, and only be left with create. So then here I'll say save, or I can say register user. register user. So if we click register user, what will happen? So it will take us to create an action within our controller. So in our controller, we don't have that action. So we are going to create it. So one is to create a get. So we are going to create a get method action for our controller, for our action. So you see we have, this is our get, att get. So I'll say att get. Then I'll also copy this and do another one called att post. So I'll do att post. Then this is create, but now this create of ours will now, we expect to receive user view model, and this user view model should come with our records. So these records is the ones that we need to save to our application. So to save to our application, we need to register the user. So that is it. So what we need to do here is, I want us to now register the user. So to register the user, we need to have, so I'll just say identity user. So I'll just do identity user. So I'll just do that. Then I'll say user is equals to, then here I'll say new. So if I do new, I can just do that. So you can do this, or you can actually have identity user, then you can have identity user. So it's actually the same thing. So after that, you see what we are being recommended to do. We need now to assign our username. We assign the data that we receive from our model. So I'm going to do the same thing that it is actually telling us to do. Then normalized username, we need to have that. Our, can say email address. So I'll just say email address. So I'll do email and I'll give it email. Then I'll say our account is actually confirmed. So I'll just say email confirmed, because we are not sending links to our email. So I'll just, so here we need to do true. We can also have a phone number. And for our phone number, we can receive it from our model as well. So we'll do phone number. Then also for us, we need to confirm. So this is a string. So I'll just say here to string. Then another thing is we need to confirm our phone number. So I'll just say our phone number is confirmed, because we are not sending notifications. So I'll also do here true. So, but you'll notice one thing. On our application, on our database, I mean, our password is hashed. And we have these security stamps, all these. So where are we getting all these details? So all these details are being added automatically, and our ASP.NET identity will actually hash our password. So how do we do that then? After we have done with this, the next thing that we need to do is, we need now to say, so I want us to say now await, then user manager. So what we now, the user manager that we added there is now going to be used here. So it's a user manager here. Sorry. So user manager, then you see it is actually recommending it for us. So we'll see user manager. So I'll just do user manager here. Dot create. Then we want to pass the user manager, that is the identity user, which is this one. But we need to pass with the password. So the password for the user, I'll just do comma. Then I'll pass the string of that password. So I'll just do model.password. So this will actually create it will create our user. And once our user is created, we can actually redirect our application, redirect to action. Then we can do index. So it will take us to the index page. So then if we go to our index page, and here, when you click add new user, it will take us to the create action. So let's just launch our application, and I want us to have a breakpoint on our user.create. so that you're able to see what happens when we create a user. So that is a very simple way to create a user within our application without a much of effort. So let's just wait and see what will happen when we create a user. So if we do that, then we can say admin, then I'm going to have my password. Then if I click sign in, I should be able to sign in within our application. Then if we go to users and system users, then I'm able to see the two users that we had. Then if I click add user, so let me just click add user, then you see it is actually giving us the user email, but these are actually not correct because we should have, those should be input text. So let's change that. So here we have, I think it is on our model if I'm not wrong. So yes, so this is int string. I think all these other ones are okay. So the issue is in our view. So the type is actually here should not be date. So I'm going to remove that to type should be int, should be number. Then for the username, we can remove this. I'm going to remove this. We can actually say it's password. That's okay. Username, then email. That's okay. So if I just update my changes, all these should be updated and we should be good now to create our. So here I'm going to create a password. So I'll just say macro code at admin.com. So that is my email. Then I'm going to just provide a phone number. My username, I'm going to say macro code. So I'm going to use this same email. Then password, I'm going to provide my password. So if I click register, there we go. So you see it has, this was our view to give us the page to key in the data. Then when we click create, it takes us to the post method. Then when you hover on the model, you should actually receive the email. You see this is the email. So we've not provided the first name, last name. We only provided the password and we've provided the username. So this is the username. So if I do that and proceed next, you'll see that our application has proceeded and we've now saved a user. So if I just click on this user here, you will see that it will now give me the full information about that user. So it has given me the concurrency stamp, the email confirm has been set to true, the ID has been generated, then normalized email, normalized username, then the password hashed. So our password has been hashed, our phone number, then we have the phone number confirmed, then we have the security stamp and all that. So if I proceed, it will redirect me to the index. So you see we now have our username and user email, then we have our phone number. So this was not saved. So what happens if there was an issue? So how do we detect that there was a successful user registration? So to do that, I'm going to assign this to, so I'll just say variable, then I'll do result. So I want to get the result here. So if I do that, I should be able to get the result. So I can check if that was successful by doing if result.succeeded, so which will return actually true. If that is the case, it should now redirect me to index. So I'll just do redirect to index, else it should return me to the same page. So I'll just return view, then I can return the same model. So as you can see, this is now what will happen. So if we just create a new user, so here I'm going to, so we can actually, let's just change our input here to string. Then I'm going to, so if we come to our controller here, let me just remove this. Then if we try to register a new user, we'll be able to see that we should be able to have a success message here. we should be able to see whether it was successful or not. So let me just launch, then log in within our application. So if I click that, I should be able to access my app. Then to users, we should have the 3 users. So if I add new and say maybe macro code test, can do phone number. So I can do that. Then I can say macro code test. Then I can provide the password again. So if I click register, you'll see that my result here will be succeeded. So you see succeeded is true, and we could, if we had errors, we could actually get the errors here. With some of the errors, you'll have seen what was the error. So then on our user created, you'll be able to see now our phone number is saved, and we have these other details. So if I proceed, because this is true, it will actually go here and redirect us to our index. And there we go. We see all the users and the phone number that we have. So that is how to register a user in our application with our new application that we are doing. So the next series we will be doing how to add roles and assign it to users. So that is it for today's video. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, and see you in our next series. Bye.